Hey campers, my name is Victoria from Sunrise Day Camp and I'm here to inspire you to use your creative mind. As we all know, this week's theme is Topsy Turvy Week. So in honor of Topsy Turvy Week, I decided to teach you how to sew the one and only TikTok famous Reversible Octopus. Now before we get started, let's see what the inspirational easel has to say. Anywhere with you is a great place for me. That's exactly how I feel with my Sunrise family. Every single week of doing arts and crafts with you guys, I can't help but get excited. And I'm really excited to do today's craft with you today. What you're going to need is 2 different colored fabrics, or at least 2 different pattern fabrics. The stencil that will be provided with you guys below in the link. Scissors, a pen or a pencil to trace your stencils, thread and a needle to sew, and of course, the cotton to stuff our octopus. So you're gonna hit the pause button, gather all of your supplies, and then we're gonna get started. Now that you've gathered all of your supplies, it's time to get started. We're going to cut out the 2 shapes in the template that I had linked down below. And once you're done cutting those, you're gonna get your fabric ready. If you have a fabric like mine, one side's gonna be a little bit flat and dull, and the other should have a pattern, maybe a certain texture. Mine is silky. You're gonna wanna make sure when you are tracing your template that you're tracing on the dull or non-pattern side. So you're going to get your pattern and lay it against the dull side of your fabric. You're gonna get your pen and trace around it. Once you're done tracing around your fabric, you're going to cut each one. For each color pattern that you have, you're going to trace one of these. So for me, I have traced 1 light pink and 1 dark pink. Silky side is the part that I did not draw on. And when it comes to these little shapes, this is gonna make the head of the octopus. You're gonna want to trace 4 on each color. For example, I have 4 of the bright pink, and I have traced and cut 4 of the light pink. So you're gonna do that now, hit pause, and come back when you're ready for the next step. Now that we're done using our templates, and we've created our shapes down below, it's time to thread our needle. As you see, I have different size needles here. I prefer to use the largest needle just to make it easier to thread. You're gonna wanna make sure the rest of your needles are somewhere safe so no one steps on it or pricks themselves. You're gonna get the edge of your thread and try to find it somewhere within here. Once you find the edge of your thread, you're going to put it inside of your needle. You have a hole in your needle on the edge here, and it should go right through. If you have any trouble, you can just dampen the edge of the thread and put it through. So I'm going to do that step now. Once your thread is through the needle, you're going to make it about 12 to 16 inches long. And you're going to want to have the threads doubled like this. So you're going to keep pulling your thread down to get as long as you can. You're then going to cut the end of your thread, like so. Make sure it's nice and tight, and you're going to tie a knot. You're going to do this by going up, make a little hill, twist it, and you're going to go just like that. And you're going to want to double knot it just to make sure it's secure and safe. So we twist, put it through, and pull. So now that we've got our knot, you can make it as many times as you like. I'm going to do a third just to be sure. So now I have my thick knot down here. I'm going to cut the end just so we don't have too much of a knot when I'm sewing. So now that this step is done, I'm going to sew these 2 pieces together. We have the bright pink and the light. Now remember how I said I didn't draw on the silky part or the pattern side? That's because these 2 sides are going to be on the outside, and I don't want any marker or pens to show. So when it comes to sewing this part together, you want the silky part to face up on the bottom layer, and then your top layer, the silky part will be facing down. So both pattern sides will be touching, and both dull sides will be what you can see on the outermost side. You're going to place them against one another and begin to sew on the pen lines. How you do that is you get your thread and needle, make sure the knot is on the end, and you're going to begin on the line where your pen is. You're going to go inside and pull through, and now you're already on your first step in. One way to go a little bit faster with this is we're going to go off the other side now against the pen mark, and we're just going to go feeding through the fabric. So we're going to go through again, pull nice and tight, and we're going to continue to do this on our fabric. If you find yourself really comfortable with this step and you want to kind of go a little bit faster, a trick that I can show you now is you get your needle, you stick it through your fabric, and you don't go all the way through. You're going to have your needle poke through the part of the fabric again, and then you're going to have it meet on the other side again where the pen is, in and out, in and out. And now that you have it looking like this with your needle, you're going to pull the thread, and before you know it, you just threaded a whole other 4 sections. So you're going to continue to do this. Once you're finished doing that, come back and then I'll show you the next step. So now basically our next step is going to be tracing on both sides our little circle here. We're going to trace this and cut this out because when we do this, it's actually going to help guide us connect the head of the octopus to the body, as well as, of course, stopping our octopus. So this part is very essential. We are going to lay out our template onto our fabric. Of course, we want to make sure it's aligned with everything. You're going to take a pen, marker, pencil, whichever you have, maybe even chalk, and you're going to just start tracing the inside. So from this step on, you can simply just fold your fabric over, and then you're going to cut partially in half and then around the edge until you have cut the full circle out. So now we're going to be taking the different template pieces that creates the head, and we're going to lay the pattern slash shiny side on the inside. So we're going to line those up together. And what we're basically going to do is lay them against one another and only do one part of the shape. So we're going to thread our needle. We're going to lay them side by side, just as explained before. Take our needle and we're going to begin sewing along the edge. So we're going to start from the bottom right corner and work our way up all the way to the top. Again, we're not going all the way around. We're going to be connecting these two different pieces. So we're going to go all the way up to the tippy top, like so. Once you get to the top, we're going to, of course, tie a knot. So you're going to pull the thread through just as you usually were, but keeping a little loop open. You're going to pull that needle through that loop and go all the way up. And now you have your first knot, and we're going to do one more knot just to really make sure it's nice and secure. Once you've done that and once you've cut that thread, you're going to see what it looks like on either side. So it should be able to flip over, and you should be able to see where the seam kind of meets and how it's going to begin everything. It kind of helps you imagine the big picture. So what we're going to do now is grab the next piece of the head. Again, for the light pink, you want to make sure it matches. And we're going to have our pattern or shiny side touching each other just like before. And we're going to complete the same step as earlier. We're going to sew the bottom right all the way to the top, and once again, not all the way around. Now for your last piece, you're going to do the same thing. Now when you're bringing them both together, the final 4, The two that have not been sewn together yet, of course, simply put, you're just going to sew that last edge together. So what we're going to do now is flip them back so the not pattern side, or the flat blank side, is still facing out. We are going to put the light pink with the light pink on this one. So if you have one pattern, you want them to match. How you're going to sew this part is a little bit more difficult than the other times before. We're going to reach inside and open up the pockets of our octopus. We're going to have the light pink dull side facing up and the light pink dull side of the head facing up. We're going to attach these pieces together, the shiny or pattern side touching, and sew them along the edges. So the shiny or pattern part is touching. With that, you're going to grab your thread and sew them together. You're going to have to, every once in a while, open it up over here to make sure they are touching the same pattern fabrics. I'm going to pull just to see where I'm at. So we have this part here, and now we're going to go to the next section. We're going to open it back up, attach them so they meet. So I'm going to continue doing this, you're going to continue doing yours, and then we're going to check in on each other and see how we're going. Once you've completed that, it should look something like this. And when you flip it over, you should see that the pink part hasn't been attached yet, and that it still is loose and free and not sewn to the other fabric. We're going to repeat this step for the most part by doing the same exact thing, attaching the dull parts out and the shiny or pattern sides on the inside, folding them against one another. But when we sew them, we're going to keep one of these triangles open. So we're going to sew all along this to the octopus tentacles, leaving one triangle not sewn. This is so we can stuff it on the inside. Pull and go through the loop. And now we have our double knot, and we're going to cut over at the end, and we're going to flip it inside out. So we're going to enter from this pocket over here, grab the other end, and flip it around. So once it's flipped around, we're just going to start kind of putting our fingers on the inside and sticking everything out. So we want to untuck everything so we can make it, rather than inside out, we're going to make it right side out. So we're just tucking our fingers in one by one, tugging out each little tentacle, and we're going to continue doing this. And once we've done that, we're going to begin stuffing our octopus. Oh, okay. So here we are with our little octopus. We're going to stuff the pale pink side by reaching through the bright pink side. So I'm going to grab my stuffing. This is looking so cute. And we're only going to stuff one side of the octopus and then all of the tentacles. By stuffing one side, this will help us be able to flip it in either direction. So I'm going to go back into the pocket. So this should be stuffed enough. I'm going to give it a little bit more just to make it nice and full. And now I'm going to gently put in a little bit of cotton in each of the tentacles. Just a little bit should do because they are very tiny. We're going to continue to do this to each and every one. And once we completed that step, I'm going to show you what is next. All right, so here's one side of our little octopus. Now before we go flipping it around, we're going to sew this to the outside. Now this part is going to naturally be more visible when it comes to sewing, but to help it be less visible, we have a slightly different technique. We're going to tie the knot on the end of our fabric after our needle is threaded. And we're going to make sure our octopus fabric is touching completely shut. It's gonna be a little bit more difficult. We're gonna tug it up a little bit. We're gonna go from the inside first, so we can't see our knot. So we're gonna go to the inside of our fabric, pull out, and now the knot will be hidden on the inside. And we're gonna do the same technique we did before, but trying to hide the edge of our fabric. How we're gonna do that here, it's gonna be a little tough. Where did I put it? Okay, so we're gonna go from the inside, through and out. Watch the little tentacle here, and pull. So we're just going to make sure it touches, bends on the inside, and we're gonna just kind of go like this, out and around, out and around, out and around. The end of our fabric folded in. Having it folded in is going to help us keeping it looking neat. Outside folded in, and so on until we're all the way complete. And now we should be able to loosen up the cotton on the inside, have it share with one another on both ends, and it should be able to flip. So now we have the pale pink octopus, and we're gonna push it in, and now we have a dark pink octopus. So once you finish creating your Topsy Turvy octopus, it's time to share your designs and colors on blooms. I'm really excited to see what colors you chose, the patterns you chose, and why you chose that specific design. When I learned how to sew, I was in 3rd grade, and it's followed me into my life even now till today. And I hope to inspire your creative mind to do the same exact thing. As always, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys, and I can't wait to do more next time. See ya.
If you're not watching this on the Sunrise Studios app, well, why not? You can download the Sunrise Studios app on your phone or tablet from your app store, and you can watch all of our virtual camp videos the moment they're released. You can also find Sunrise Studios on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, or you can watch it on our Sunrise Association YouTube channel. See you soon!